suggester, cultist.
Okay.
They're asking, how will China avoid war with the U.S.? The American empire is desperate, and as Frederick Douglass said, peace can only happen if both sides want it. So, I mean, can China avoid war with the U.S.? This is a huge question. I think that's on a lot of people's minds.
It's a huge question. It's a very good question. And you have to, first you have to understand, from the point of view of the Chinese leadership since Deng Xiaoping, and they all think alike, and they all go back to Deng's lessons. When Deng Xiaoping designed the one country, two system mechanism, which would apply to Hong Kong, apply to Macau, and in the end would apply to Taiwan as well. It would be probably one country, three systems, if we take Taiwan into consideration. Long term, Hong Kong, the handover was in 1997. Macau, the handover was 1999. And for Taiwan was no date set for the handover, but before 2049. Very, very important. So we still have, what, 25 years, 26 years until 2040. So they're not in a hurry. The problem is the Americans are in a hurry because they need a war. And they're not going to start a war against China because of the South China Sea. They're not going to start a war against China because of Tibet or Xinjiang. So, okay, the easiest way is Taiwan. They are occupying a democracy, even though the economies are completely intertwined, and Taiwan does business with China and vice versa, and this is going to keep increasing. They exchange high-tech information, they exchange engineers, everything. And sooner or later, Taiwan is going to become part of China in a one country, three systems way, just like Hong Kong. When Hong Kong came back, I was there. I followed the story over there at the time, 1997. When Hong Kong came back from the Brits to China, the Westerners, especially the Brits over there, they're saying, we're going to have Tiananmen-style tanks in the center of Hong Kong at midnight. Nothing happened. It was a process that Hong Kong was slowly integrated into southern China. And nowadays, what do we have? The Chinese project of the Greater Bay Area, which not many people in the West know about. It's a geoeconomic and geopolitical integration, including Belt and Road, including the New Silk Roads, of this whole region, which includes Hong Kong, Macau, Zhuhai, Dongguan, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, all these centers of excellence, manufacture production, high-tech. Huawei, for instance, the main headquarters is in Shenzhen. And all integrated with Hong Kong, and Hong Kong's role will be services, banking, propaganda, publicity, services in general, and savoir-faire, management, etc. All integrated with the centers of production. So it's going to be one of the big poles of development of China in the 21st century. So Taiwan can have a similar role to the role that Hong Kong is being, let's say, conducted to develop in China now. So this is what the Chinese want to do. And then comes, of course, it's very funny, some of my Chinese scholar friends, they openly describe the Americans as those barbarians. It's very, very funny. Some of them write very good English, in fact. And when we exchange emails, I say, the barbarians are starting to see what's going to happen next. So that's it. The barbarians want war. What do barbarians want? They want war, essentially. And they want to fabricate a war that does not exist. So obviously, because there are some elements in Taiwanese politics that are, they play to the galleries, they invent a sort of autonomy that Taiwan does not have in the end. It's all about business between continental China and Taiwan. The problem is you can use this fifth columnist in Taipei to get China to be cornered in a manner relatively similar to Russia being cornered by what happened in Donbass for 8 years. It's a completely different situation, of course, because China is not bombing anybody in Taiwan, and China is not planning on invading anything. What the Chinese are planning for war is if the Americans provoke a war and the Americans try to do something against continental China, with or without Taiwan being involved. That's a completely different story. And this brings us to what the Chinese Minister of Defense is talking here in Moscow since yesterday. He arrived yesterday, it's going to take for 3 days. What is he discussing here which is something that obviously the Beltway didn't get it because their sources are absolutely lousy. He didn't come here to sell Chinese weapons for the Russians to use in Donbass. It's the absolute opposite. We don't have a smoking gun, of course, because this is discussed at the ultra high level. Basically, the Chinese came here to discuss with the Russian Ministry of Defense, look, we need some of your super duper state-of-the-art weaponry in case the Americans start having funny ideas against us. And the Russians are saying, okay, all right, let's do it.